What's going on, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be talking about what a professional tenant is and how to avoid getting a professional tenant in your rental property or apartment building. Now, I used to work in property management, believe it or not. I managed probably about 500 units in the city. And a professional tenant was the name that we gave to a tenant in one of our buildings who had figured out the land laws and understood the land laws so well that they could use various loopholes and different pieces of the law to essentially get out of paying for months on end. In some cases, I remember we had about 3 or 4 different residents who had not paid their monthly rent in over a year, and in some cases over 2 years. So depending on which state and which city you're in, the landlord laws might be very landlord friendly, they might be very tenant friendly. Sometimes they're outdated by 50 or even 100 years. And there's going to be various legal loopholes where tenants can essentially get out of paying their rent. So the first thing I would say in terms of avoiding getting a professional tenant is, and before you get a rental property or buy an apartment building, is you need to be very familiar with the landlord laws. I mean, you should read everything you can, every article, maybe even ask, landlord or real estate attorneys about various things that can go wrong, things that you should do, things you should watch out for. So just by having a good understanding of the landlord laws in your area, you should come into the process before you buy a building or rental property very educated about the specific landlord laws for your area. Because where I live, one state is going to have super friendly landlord laws. Like if someone doesn't pay their rent, within 30 days you can actually evict them. But just right across the water, if they don't pay their rent, it's actually a long, drawn-out legal process that in some cases can take over a year, even over 2 years, before the tenant actually has to pay their monthly rent. The second tip I would give you to avoid having a professional tenant would be just qualify and screen the hell out of your tenant. I mean, don't just choose the first person that applies. You really want to cherry pick the best of the best. So I'm talking about, credit checks, background checks, whatever you need to do. And just make sure that the person you're getting, even references are great. So I'd say background checks, credit checks, and get references as well. If you can have someone that has all 3 of those and they qualify, chances are they're not going to be a professional tenant. And the third tip I would give you for not getting a professional tenant would be to hire a property management service. When you do everything yourself, unless you just have a really good understanding of real estate and you've done it before, a property manager is probably going to be a better bet just because they have the experience in possibly evicting people, or maybe they understand the laws much more so than you, and they can handle the process of qualifying people and finding the best tenant. So I also see a lot of people with their property managers, like they might just have their cousin or their friend manage their property for them. And if you're comfortable with that, go for it. But in my mind, you want to qualify the property managers almost as much as you qualify the tenant. So you want to find a property management company that has experience in the type of rentals that you have, someone that gets good reviews, someone that's been in the business for a while, just because they're going to know the best steps, the best practices as far as it goes for managing your asset. So there you have it, how to avoid getting a professional tenant. And just to recap this video, number 1, professional tenants are oftentimes going to be very knowledgeable about the different intricate landlord processes in your area, in your state. So you need to be just as qualified. You need to read as much as you can, read different legal papers on the landlord laws, read different articles about evictions and things like that, so that you can have a leg up in case you do come across a professional tenant. The second thing would be to obviously qualify and screen your tenant as much as possible. Don't just go with the first application. You really want the person with the best credit, best references, things like that. And screen your property management company as well. Try to find a property management company that has a lot of experience in your type of building, has been around a while, gets good reviews, and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video on how to avoid getting a professional tenant. If you like this video, please give me a like, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. All right, bye.